Attention! The movie guys love movies. Any comments about all the nominations going to an awards contender that isn't universally liked are purely for entertainment purposes only. Isn't that right, Zoolander 2?
She's hot. I trust her.
I gotta say, I like Zoolander 2. I like Zoolander as well. So
Also,
I like them all.
You like them also?
I like them also.
So the flap is La La Land. Am I guessing that correctly? I didn't really pay attention to who got nominated.
but the Razzie Award nominations came out too, and Zoolander 2 got the most of those,
okay.
and La La Land got the most Oscar nominations.
Who else got Razzies?
I don't know.
I'll tell you.
We're just starting.
Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. My
right.
vote for worst film of the year.
Well, you agree.
That's
All
no
right.
good. Gods of Egypt, which I saw in a hotel room in my recent auto show, Jag.
Actually went to a screening.
Hey, God bless you.
Yeah.
But you didn't pay
It's
money.
about white people playing black people. Isn't that what it's about?
Yeah, it is.
It's
Gerard
like really
Butler
interesting.
and
I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zoolander 2, Independence Day Resurgence.
That's
which
why
is
it's not
awful.
fair to give Zoolander 2 just because it didn't work out. It's still a funny movie.
It's a
I
funny
would tell you,
movie.
it's at least as funny as the first one.
I think it's
I
funny.
said that on the show.
I just think they shouldn't have used, phones that had extension cords. It was just wrong.
Yeah, packed full of jokes. Maybe too many celebrity cameos. I don't know.
I love celebrity cameos.
Especially in that kind of movie where it's just peppered in all the time. It's
Yes,
fun.
and it's about celebrities.
But I like
Yeah.
this too. Hillary's America: The Secret History of the Democratic Party, Worst Picture nomination.
Are you
got a Razzie?
serious?
Yeah,
I think we should have just given Donald Trump an award just for being alive.
He's got one.
Worst performance.
It's
yeah.
called
he's
being
got
the
one. He's got a
president.
Razzie. No, he's got
Oh,
a Razzie.
he's got a
for
Razzie.
something
He does have a Razzie? Oh,
Yeah, was it Home
Shocker.
Alone 2?
really?
I can't
Oh, that's
remember.
right. He was in the lobby.
Something like that.
He played lobby guy
Look,
number
this part
one.
was so small and so bad, but it's still so small they felt the need to give it an award for
But
that.
it might have been for something I can't remember.
Oh,
He's only
God.
been in a few, but
It's so hard.
he managed to get
and he
that
always
award.
plays himself. Ah!
and the La La Land is of course the goof on that.
It's a very sweet movie, but it doesn't feel
love it.
Oscar. Really?
Cried for
and
10
you're, and you're straight.
From what I know, he's
Yeah,
straight.
well, you're going to have to give away
Yeah.
that straight
I'll
card.
prove it right now.
If you say it one more time, I don't want to watch that.
No,
I don't know.
you don't.
You don't.
What?
It's Jason Stewart, everybody. I'll
Yay!
give a formal introduction to our guest this week, chiming in already on our sexuality.
No, I just was saying that I just couldn't watch it. I wasn't judging.
You can get the audio portion of the show and then just enjoy it on iTunes. You could listen to Karen and I.
No,
Having
he was saying
sex?
you couldn't watch La La Land.
Yeah, he's not saying
I
you can't
thought
watch you have
couldn't
sex.
watch us have sex.
No,
Paul is
you
stuck on the sex.
You
thing.
I said I wanted to prove I was straight. You're like, I can't watch that.
You're so nervous. You guys are so.
I'm very.
that I'm
my
going to change you.
masculinity is
I'm only-
very fragile.
I'm only gay on the weekends. It's too tiring to be gay every day now. It's just too hard.
Hey, it's a Wednesday. Then we're good to go with the show.
Yes.
Welcome to the Movie
I like
Showcast,
Jason.
everybody. Part of the vast and sprawling Movie Guys empire. And you've reached ground zero for all things movies and comedy here. We bring the two together right on our show every week. Jokes, rants, sketches, previews, special
Ground
guests,
zero?
bits. Ground zero.
That's a little depressing.
It
Okay,
is
go ahead.
sad.
Too soon? Too
Yeah,
soon, Jason?
It might be.
It took me back there for a second. Okay, go
You're a
ahead.
New Yorker?
Yeah, well, in my heart, yeah. I was born there, but raised out here by two very annoying Jewish people. Oh, those are my parents.
And really, there's only two of them?
I'm sure they're not
Wow.
listening.
What was that?
I
Wait, you think he has
There's
more
only
than
two
two
annoying
parents?
Jews?
Oh, hey! Hello down.
We found them.
You're going to have to hold my hand during this if you say another thing.
Is that your hand?
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's see. We're coming to you from the Admirals Club. That's our studio here in the heart of Burbank Airport's flyover zone. It's our lot in life. It's
I
not
didn't
a
know
lot,
what that
but it's
was
a
when I
life.
heard you. I was on the little paper.
Oh, the Admirals
I
Club.
thought, God, maybe it's a really cool club.
oh, it's really cool.
You'll hear planes fly over. Just ignore them.
Yeah. Okay.
We
It
do.
happens. We offer up a new show every week here. Just search Google, Yahoo, or
Bing.
or Altiba. Right?
I know.
Which,
They're
Yahoo's new
changing
name
it.
will be.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
you weren't
isn't
here
that
last
weird?
week for that.
No.
That's the new thing.
Altiba.
Verizon bought Yahoo. They're going to become Altiba.
Oh, God. Well, that's easy to spell.
Yeah.
Next.
Wait a minute. Is that the lead
Exactly.
character in Wicked?
That's
Exactly.
Alphabet.
yes,
That's
that was very
Alphabet.
good.
Did we already do that joke
We
last
should
week?
just search Alphabet.
No, we waited for the musical theater jokes till you were back.
Thank you.
Figured you would be there for those.
Or
yeah.
the new version of Beaches,
Oh,
which
my
I saw
goodness.
Saturday. I got to
Saw
tell
the whole
you.
film?
Oh, yeah. I watched
Who?
the whole thing.
Who's who? Who's
Uh,
playing
Ne-
Barbara Hershey?
God. Adina Menzel.
Oh,
Yeah.
Adele Dazeem?
Yeah.
Adele Dazeem. Who's
Whatever she-
playing? what-
Nia Long, who is a wonderful actress, and both of them
She
are
is.
great. But it's Beaches. It was like the black version, of Steel Magnolias.
Yes.
It just didn't work because it wasn't the same film. It didn't have this. They cut things and changed it and moved it. It had nothing to do with them being black. Certainly, it wasn't.
Are you pronouncing that right? Beaches?
Yeah. Why? Opposed to what?
He's making a bitches joke.
Oh, baby. No, they weren't bitches. They weren't bitches.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, Adam, you're missing out.
Adam, he's on assignment.
He's on assignment in Ohio.
Yeah.
You have someone on assignment?
Yes.
This show is big.
It's a big show. You
fancy.
don't realize
I'm really
where you
nervous
are.
now.
Yeah, yeah.
Field
Oh,
correspondence, people on assignment.
And Adam's really cute if you think this one's cute.
He's got more hair than I do.
I don't care about him.
No, really.
Oh.
And I don't know if you're aware, but this show is absolutely...
Paul, ever since the big election, my portfolio has been doing quite well, so I might actually have a little extra scratch for the show this week.
No,
if that...
Bart, don't worry about it. The show is free, is what I was in the middle of saying.
Well,
Yeah,
then
but Bart, I'll take some of that scratch. Bring it on over.
What's scratch?
His cash. He pays
What
for the
year is
show.
this?
It's Cagney for money.
Here is this.
We're doing a film noir bit all of a sudden.
I don't know. Hi.
Hey.
Yeah.
Let me go around
Let's
the table and
see.
introduce everybody.
can't.
See?
My name is Paul Preston here, your host for the hardest working comedy show in all the land. We have Karen Volpe.
You spelled science with a Y, and what's upsetting is that I don't think even you know that that's wrong.
And Bart Caius.
She smiles excessively, but chewing is where she really excels.
But joining us all show long is the prolific character actor and stand-up comic who's appeared in the likes of Kindergarten Cop,
Oh, my
Love
God.
is Strange, and Tangerine, who can now be seen in the new on DVD and Blu-ray The Birth of a Nation with Nate Parker. Jason Stewart is with us. We've said it before. We'll say it again.
I feel like
There's
I'm
your
at a-
official introduction.
I feel like I'm at a much bigger show.
It's a big show.
You
I
are
feel
a
like
big
there's
show.
an audience
There's
here.
a huge.
Where are you going, baby?
He's done. That's it.
Sticking around.
Oh, he's getting closer.
Just wanted to move in a little bit.
Oh. Just knock the table around. Don't worry
What
about
are you
it.
doing? Keep your
Well,
keep
we
your
got
legs.
these new chairs, Paul.
Keep your legs down. Come on.
Well,
Basically, we have new chairs because I took the outdoor furniture in because it's been raining for the last month. So now you have a bigger chair.
Essentially moved you right back to where you started.
no, I'm a very crucial 3 inches closer. We all know what a difference 3 inches can make. So
Oh dear.
closer.
Did you paint these chairs too?
It's going to be
I
a
painted
long
these chairs. They're just
show.
chairs I got from the neighbor. She was going to throw them away. I said, let me paint those, stick them outside by my
I'm
picnic
exhausted.
table.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'm glad you said go ahead because we do offer a service here every week on the show, and we don't want to skip out this week.
No.
As ever, we bring you
Previews.
We'll prep you for everything coming to theaters this weekend and every
exciting.
weekend, spoiler-free, with our patented preview of every new release coming to theaters. This week sees the wide release of Gold.
I've seen it.
Oh, we'll get a report
I
later.
want to hear about
Starring Matthew McConaughey,
Yes.
that. Very
who
cute.
happens to be in a poster behind me, and of course about a film about the. I don't even want to say very close to Birth of a Nation, and apparently my poster is not up there, and his is. It's okay. I'm not judging anybody. It was very insensitive. Go ahead.
Paul.
McConaughey was in a movie, so I put a movie of his
Whatever.
up
I
on
don't
the
want
wall.
to talk about it. I'm breaking up with
Free
you.
State of
Oh,
Jones.
man.
He doesn't play Nat Turner. So
No.
Yeah.
He's white. But
Sort of. In that picture, he looks
I don't
black.
know. It's very strange. I don't know what that picture's trying to say.
It's scaring me. It's like he's looking in the window at us.
Oh, or he's not going to kill us, in our sleep.
Exactly.
We also have opening this week Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. Let's see here. When the Lycans seek revenge against the vampires for trespassing on the werewolves' territory, the zombies see an opportunity to plot their own revenge against the dragons that inhabit the forests of the underworld. How close am I, Bart?
Surprisingly, Paul, you're not that far off. Then again, I don't give a shit.
True.
And later in the show, A Dog's Purpose.
Oh my God, that is so fetch.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
Here's a clip.
What is the meaning of life? Are we here for a reason? Is there a point to any of this? And why does food taste so much better in the trash?
It's Josh Gad.
Josh Gad
Not
is-
Jod Gash.
Oh, he plays.
He's
the voice of the dog,
the
Yeah.
voice of the dog.
and the dog talks. God, there's never been a film like this before.
I think its mouth doesn't move, though. It's all the thoughts
Oh,
of
he
the dog.
narrates the
it's
film.
his thoughts.
Yeah.
It's the dog's thoughts. Yeah. Well.
Sort of. He's also narrating. He seems to be telling the story.
Yeah.
And this is it really coming out, this movie? Because there was this whole controversy about whether the dog was hurt, and then the PETA group apparently took the wrong.
I love pitas. With like lamb.
Yeah, I do too, but we're not talking about that, honey. God,
Yummy.
it's so great that you're so cute and sweet. 'Cause You're not
There's
bright.
been more caressing in this show.
You're not bright.
Than Doug Jones.
Doug Jones has hands all over you too.
Doug Jones is handsy.
In the living room, you asked to spoon with me, and I didn't even have any silverware. Okay, so this movie, I really hated that PETA did that. Is that they pulled out one little piece of something and said
know.
this whole controversy about a film, and they didn't even talk to the people, and there was no investigation. And I just want to say seriously that kind of stuff really has to stop, because I think a lot of people worked on this movie trying to make it a wonderful movie for people to watch, and I think it's really terrible that when you do think it's what they call that new thing. What's it called that Donald Trump made up, that new word?
Alternate facts.
Yes,
alternative facts.
Of his administration. He didn't make up that word. The lovely, I won't even say her name, Carrie Ann. Or is that her name?
Kellyanne.
Kellyanne.
I can't remember.
Kate McKinnon.
Somebody should take her and someone's got to give her a decent dye job and do something with that hair. I mean, I don't mean to sound sexist, but God, if you have all that money and you're up there, you don't see any of the guys,
Did you see her outfit at the inauguration? It looked like something from the musical Will Rogers Follies.
No,
It's like
it really
Paddington had sex with Carol Channing.
Really, she looked like she worked a dog on a stick.
True. That much is true.
Hot dog on a stick.
Those are the
Remember
She
that?
exact
just wasn't
colors.
wearing the hat.
Yeah, it was
That's
like a
the
hot
only
dog on a
thing.
stick. Yeah, I
Oh,
can't believe
that's
that.
amazing.
But the thing
Poor
about
thing. She's-
PETA is I
yes.
just worked with a friend of mine, Heather, on the auto show tour I've been doing, and she was in wildlife. She told me the whole thing about PETA. They don't want to look out for the well treatment of animals on sets. They don't want animals on set. They don't want animals in houses. They don't want animals involved
They're
with
that
humans
extreme?
in any way. Yes.
Yeah. They just want them to run free
They don't
and get hit by
believe-
cars.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
They belong to the earth. We shouldn't have any domain over them
No,
in
I don't
any way
believe
whatsoever.
that. They want dogs to just be living everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That would be terrible for them.
I think so.
That's because it's a bad idea, but it's nonetheless their
No,
their
I think
thought.
she's mistaken. I think that's too extreme. I don't think that's
Well,
the
the
truth.
producer of A Dog's Purpose, by the way, wrote a great letter about how he wasn't on set and he wished he was.
Gavin Polone.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
I think
I
so.
saw
That's right. It's a great letter.
I saw it being interviewed on one of the entertainment shows, and that's where they just showed this one clip, and it could be manipulated, and not sure, sir. And not, something, a dog can freak out, an actor can freak out, a child can freak out, anybody can have.
I'd be freaking out if I didn't understand or was afraid of water.
Or something,
or
or something happened, or just and apparently they were putting him in the wrong way, and they trained him the other way, so he was, and something got turned around, and there were people in the water who were helping him underneath. I mean, God, no one helps me underneath.
Bart, get in there.
The footage looked like every dog ever taking a bath I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's all.
I don't want to go to the tub. I don't want to go in the tub. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Every time I've given
And then
my
the
dog a
shot
bath.
when the dog dives in the rapids is a CGI dog.
It's not a real dog.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the shot from the film. It's
And
not
the film
enough
looks
footage.
the film looks sweet, and Dennis Quaid is a brilliant, wonderful actor. So I'm sure it's going to be sweet. And
He sobered up nicely for this, it looks like.
Shut up. Who are you? Dennis Quaid is very talented and wonderful.
how do you know? What do you're saying he has a drinking problem?
Yeah, right? No?
No, that's his brother.
That's Randy.
Randy.
Randy's got an alien and
I don't know.
all
And
sort of
I got to
problem.
say, I'm obsessed with them.
It's amazing.
Do you watch their videos? Him and his wife.
Him and his
Kat?
wife. I've only seen
I
one.
am obsessed.
Was the one she
I-
put on the Rupert Murdoch mask? Is
Right,
that who-
that's the one I've
she put on?
seen.
I don't
And
know
they have
what
sex?
it is, but it's just like it's a little Scientology. I don't know what it is. Leah Remy show, which is another one I'm obsessed with.
That's a great show.
Oh yeah.
I tried to watch that show. I had a little trouble with it because I loved the storyline. I just didn't think that she produced a very compelling way to tell that story.
Really?
Yeah, I thought she was very one note.
Were you distracted by her outrageous manicure? Because that's
No.
what kept drawing my attention. They're
I
like
did not
talons.
see that.
Those fingers, and they're sharpened to
I
a
would have
point.
liked that too.
Well, it is weird. Her makeup and hair is a bit excessive
It is.
for just doing this.
Yeah.
I think, but I guess she's a New York, Jersey girl or something. She looks like that. But get away from that. If the show is really, really important because they're shedding light on something that apparently is really, really negative to a lot of people, and it's hurt a lot.
Especially families.
I was just going to say that, and broke up a lot of families, and I felt really bad.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for us to do that. I'm sure it's not all Scientologists, and I don't know every Scientologist, but it looks like the Seahawks or whatever, the ones that are on the boat. And the
Yeah, what
things
are they
that-
called? They're like seamen.
Sea orgs.
Sea orgs.
Yeah. And whatever it is,
orgs.
but I'm not a big fan of organized religion.
Right?
just
I'm not
myself.
either
Oh.
because it's too sweeping. You have to be able to think of each individual case and to just say this thing is bad no matter what, and not look at the instances. I don't think that's
But I
very
do think it's
insightful.
important what she's doing, because it's important to see things from a different point of view.
I don't like organized religion because it's too expensive.
Well, if those are the prices, my
yeah,
God.
to go through each level, no.
Dear God, it's like the Groundlings. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, we'll pick this up on the TV guys, the other show. Let's get back. Let's get to our first film.
Oh, do we
All
have
right.
to?
If it's January and we're thinking, didn't we just preview this?
Uh-huh.
And Underworld has already released its yearly sequel, then we must be on the verge of a new Resident Evil movie.
yes.
Like the Saw franchise before it, here comes Resident Evil, the final chapter. Here we go.
Now, for those of you that don't know, a Resident Evil is one that's putting in time on site towards its doctorate in evil. This movie also has its masters in incarnate bloodlust with a minor in medieval jewelry.
Resident Evil, the final chapter, is the 6th episode in the hit, as a percentage of budget, Resident Evil series.
For anyone who doesn't know the Resident Evil movies, they're the ones with Mila Jovovich in them. She's like the female Vin Diesel. This is all she really wants to do.
God, you're so beautiful. God, she's so beautiful, man. Am I right or wrong? Look at her. How am I supposed to do this interview? Look at this woman.
Tell me your story.
She's so beautiful. Go on, yo, man. Talk to me, baby.
God, he's creepy.
God, he's sexy. I love that voice. You're wrong. Talk to me like that. I'll do anything.
And she plays not only a woman, but a
Yes.
woman named Alice.
Ooh.
That's right. Alice. Not Raven or Sierra or even Piper or Harper, but Alice.
Now, it's been 15 years since Evil first resided, with Mia Jovovich in 2002's Resident Evil. But I can sum up the rest pretty quick. In 2004's Resident Evil Apocalypse, civilization was wiped out. 2007's Resident Evil Extinction was where people were wiped out. 2010's Resident Evil Afterlife was the one where they were alive after being wiped out. 2012's Resident Evil Retribution was the one where they got revenge for all that apocalypse. And now 2017's Resident Evil, the final chapter, is the one before the next one.
Resident Evil 6 stopped buying its subtitles at the X-Men store and instead takes a page from Friday the 13th, whose final chapter signaled that series was only 6 chapters away from launching their lead into space.
Resident Evil, the final chapter, is not to be confused with the upcoming Movie Guys production, Evil Residence Assistant.
Hey guys, I don't want to be hard on, but if you could keep the Dave Matthews down, I'm trying to drain the blood out of this virgin, and Nunes has a final tomorrow.
Evil Residence Assistant.
Keenan! God, it smells like dryer sheets and marijuana in here.
Evil Residence Assistant. Patent pending.
Oh, of course. People really want
Well,
that,
here's
the RAs.
the Resident Evil, the final chapter plot. Gonna try not to be political here. There's enough of that on social media, right?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
appreciate you, Paul.
The trailer opens with a shot of the dilapidated nation's capital and what looks like the future, most likely during Donald Trump's second term inauguration. I'm sorry. The Tea Party virus is spread, destroying everything. I'm sorry. That's the T virus. The T virus. There looks as if some climate change has been neglected as Alice, a nasty woman, marches on Washington to blow up the White House. Forget it, Bart. You better take over.
I don't think it's
Well, you know,
possible.
Paul, it is kind of hard to put into words everything that seems to be happening in this movie. So instead of trying to come up with our own description, we thought we would ask the movie itself just what the heck is going on with it.
All right.
So, Resident Evil, thank you for joining us here in the Admirals Club, and let's dive right in, shall we? What is this movie all about? Okay,
Fighting
right,
and screaming.
right? Sure. That
Yeah,
that seems
sounds
pretty
it.
obvious. Pretty obvious. But we were also wondering about the plot specifically. Can you perhaps sum up the plot for us?
She runs around. Oh,
So beyond that,
Yes.
is there something else happening, maybe subtextually in this movie? Maybe possibly some social commentary undertones?
no.
I see. You know what? Actually, I didn't think about that, and probably wouldn't have if you didn't bring it up. So that's very interesting. Now, finally, what would you like audiences to take away from this movie?
More shooting! Ah! Ah!
Well, we're going to thank you for coming in today, Resident Evil. This has been very informative and enlightening, and we really appreciate you taking time to stop by. Now, before you leave, are there any last comments you'd like to make about yourself, Resident Evil?
I think somebody's driving a truck. I heard it.
I think I heard a truck.
Listen, in
And then they
IMDb,
lost their keys. I know they did because it was so loud. The music was going on and off, and the lights were going on. And then somebody pushed me, and I got anyway. I don't even know.
All right, here's what the plot is. Alice must return to where the nightmare began, the Hive in Raccoon City, where the Umbrella Corporation is gathering its forces. Now, here's an exclusive Movie Guys recording from the pitch session where a 4-year-old sold the idea to Sony Pictures.
And then she's in the Hive, and then there's a Raccoon City, and then there's this Umbrella Corporation, and then she sets people on fire.
You've been greenlit!
It's that easy.
Go back to your room.
I know Alice is getting attacked by mutant humanoids or something, but the trailer makes it seem like she's getting attacked by bwongs.
Yeah.
Do you know
Bongs?
bwong? Bwong is my favorite thing.
Oh, I thought it was something you smoke grass out of.
In this trailer,
Almost.
in trailers nowadays,
Well, that's a
you'll-
brong, not a bong.
No, this is a bwong.
Okay.
You hear it all the time.
Yes.
Here's a clip.
Picture this.
This is loaded with bwongs.
Umbrella developed an airborne antivirus. It would destroy the T-virus.
I have no reason to believe a word you say.
True, but I can offer you something you want very much.
What is that?
Revenge.
You can just put them all together
They
and wrap
always
that up
have
a lot
someone in
faster.
those movies that talks like this. My voice is really raspy, and all of a sudden I have to say these things, and I'm very upset that I have to say them. Don't talk to me. I'm really upset.
It would destroy the T-virus.
Move it.
I have no
There's a
reason.
T-virus, there's a
True,
V
but I
virus,
can-
and then I have an HIV virus. And the elemental P virus is the one you got to really watch.
You know,
out
Jason, it
for.
sounds like someone who needs to have their morning coffee.
Yeah, well, I did the remake of The Pit and the Pendulum, and I played the Vincent Price role, and I tick tock, back and forth. It swings.
Nice.
Yes.
Where was
You're
this?
kind
This is
of.
in a movie called The Pit and the Pendulum. It was a remake.
When they remake that?
Oh, it was crappy, and no one
Mm.
ever saw it. And he was a fun director, and I got to be in the movie, and I was just happy that, and I got a lot of voiceover.
I can hear you
jobs.
doing Vincent Price.
I can hear you doing Vin Diesel.
Yes.
I'd like to do Vin Diesel too.
Who wouldn't?
Ouch! Good night, everybody. He got to work with Sidney Lumet, so.
This is directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, a director that likes to combine cinematic elements that appeal to the audiences of Paul Thomas Anderson, as well as the appeal to audiences of Wes Anderson, to make a movie that appeals to neither of them.
We played a long game, you and I. But now it's over.
Oh,
love
good.
that. That's
now,
my
where's
part.
that Frogger film we've been promised? That's what we need. It's the Frogger movie. That's Resident Evil, the final chapter. See, now, Jason, now we talk about it.
Nothing left to say, Jason.
I'm so sorry. I
talked it
messed
up.
it all
There's
up.
nothing.
No.
No, whatever.
If you want to, hey, listen, if anyone wants to profess their love for Mia Jovovich,
You guys joked and said that she doesn't want to do anything else. This gal has had a career. I was just looking. I would want it. She was a Dazed and Confused.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah, so she got to work with the same director of Voyage. She had done The Fifth Element, and that was really good. And then she also did He Got Game with Denzel. And then she was Joan of Arc, and she got to work with Dustin Hoffman and Faye Dunaway. I mean, in that. And then she did the original Zoolander. I mean, she really has had a career. I mean, she really has. I mean, certainly she's a beautiful woman who's now 40-something. She did Ultraviolet, and I don't know if that was a successful movie, but that was another
that's
one.
Uwe Boll. It was not.
It wasn't. And then she did Dirty Girl with Ellen Barkin, which was a really interesting indie film, which I remember. And then she did Stone a couple years ago with De Niro. I mean, I'm really thinking.
Are you
hey,
repping Mila or something?
No,
think
but I'm just
so.
thinking. I think sometimes people say, "Well, why do they do this?" And I know this is probably her big moneymaker, and then she gets to
Absolutely.
do any indie film she wants.
If those
to
other
do.
movies were so good, why weren't there sequels? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
of
this
course.
one
of these.
clearly is the best.
She's in Zoolander too.
Oh.
She plays Kanika.
Not Kanika.
Yeah.
She's my favorite.
Thank you. From the Riley
Must
Martin
be a
School of
model.
Naming Characters. You didn't even mention the fourth kind
The fourth kind, and she was also in the Three Musketeers. So if it has
and
a
the Fifth
number-
Element. She likes numbers.
She's got 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
She's beefed up a little bit from the Fifth Element, though.
Well,
I remember her being a very pixie girl.
She was wafy.
Wafy.
She was
yeah.
a
She has some
model.
muscles now.
Yeah.
She was model. You know, they weren't allowed to eat.
Was she a model?
Oh yeah,
Like a model type model?
I think she was a big one. Yeah.
Oh.
That's how she started, I believe.
Yeah, she's tall, beautiful.
Well,
I mean, these films are made for straight boys, little straight boys who just like yourself when you were younger and you wanted to go into a movie theater and watch a pretty girl.
There you go.
You know, fall and look back, and some guy who was really big, and you could fantasize about looking like him, and occasionally you would think, oh, God, well, no, I should.
Isn't Mila the one who barely had a top? She was just wearing a piece of tape in a movie?
Fifth Element, yeah.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Well, in these movies, usually there's only one woman, but what's really neat is the woman is the lead in these films, so that's sort of cool. And they're really popular with these boys, so that tells you something about something, you know.
she's married to the director.
Oh, is she?
I love that.
Paul
Good for
W.S.
them.
Oliver for all.
Oh, so this is their thing to do every year, where they make some money.
Yeah, they
that
pay
was
their
Kate Beckinsale's thing with her
taxes.
husband in the Underworld movies,
Right.
But they've broken up, so I don't know why she keeps making
Did
them.
they really? Oh, because she's in. You know, she's smart, and she gets to do on other kind of things when she wants to. I mean, you all got to do something. You know, people always go. Somebody will say to me, "Why did you do that movie?" They paid me.
They paid me.
You know, and I was thrilled to get it. People don't know it's so hard to get a part in something.
Yeah,
It is.
it's
It
true.
really is. You know what? It's hard to get an audition. It's easier to get the part than it is to
Yeah,
get the audition.
you're absolutely right. Getting the audition is the work.
Well, theoretically, you're up against fewer people in the audition.
Then you are getting the audition.
Yeah, exactly.
Because anybody has potential to get
Why
it.
do you have
Exactly.
to wear those glasses?
I know.
So I can read
Oh,
No.
and see things.
I don't think you need to read.
No.
Reading makes me
Pretty
sleepy.
people don't need to read.
No.
See, we've written all these jokes, Jason.
Oh, there are more? Okay, go
Well,
ahead.
Yes,
there's
we
two
have to
more
talk
movies.
about
Two more
another movie.
movies,
Let's do
yes.
it. Let's do it.
What's the
I want
next
to talk
one?
Well,
about
our
this
next
one.
film, it's called A Dog's Purpose.
To chew on your new pair of shoes?
No.
To take a dump in the living room?
No, A Dog's Purpose
It's
is...
to dig up the flower garden. I know. Have sex with your leg.
No.
Yeah.
Let me finish. A Dog's Purpose is...
To lick his own balls.
No.
Can you say that?
You're right. I was just kidding. That's my purpose.
It's not true.
It's a dream of mine.
Really?
All right,
I
Bart,
can help you out with that.
You're out of this preview. So are you,
Okay.
Jason. Karen, you and I are going to talk
Oh,
about
good,
this.
doggy
It's
movie.
a great fit for you. So let's talk
right.
about A Dog's Purpose. Here we go.
Ain't no big dog coming to bite you. Ain't no bad
A little loud. Love it, everybody.
Finally, the answer to the generations-long question while cleaning up puke. What's a dog's purpose again?
A Dog's Purpose was chosen as a title when test audiences found the title Bark at Nothing, Stare at You, Sniff His Crotch to be a little on the nose for the movie.
This movie is pure Karen porn.
Oh, yes.
But not just Karen porn. This is like all anal action Karen porn. Because it's not just about a cute doggy. It's about how cute doggies are better than us, and we are all cute doggies.
Yay.
And all hail President Dog.
And unlike Trump, this one's housebroken. Thank you, Tom.
I always enjoy that.
Yeah. Now, I ask you, what is more adorable than a movie about a cute little dog? A movie about a whole bunch of cute little dogs. Though technically this movie is about a single dog that ends up taking the form of many dogs after being reincarnated over and over. So I ask you, what is sadder than a movie about a cute little dog dying? A movie about a whole bunch of cute little dogs dying. I don't think they quite thought that through on this one. Way to go, movie.
Aw, the movie is about the many lives that the soul of a particular dog inhabits.
Aw.
The story follows the spirit of man's best friend as it keeps being reincarnated into one dog after another, starting out as Bailey, the best friend of a young boy named Ethan. Ethan is troubled by a sometimes abusive and alcoholic father, but he finds in Bailey a trusted friend and confidant. The two are joined at the hip, spending every waking moment together, growing and sharing life like only a boy and his dog could, until one day, Bailey dies.
Oh, that's really
But don't worry.
sad.
Oh.
He comes back to life.
He's Jesus' dog.
Hey.
This time as Ellie, a German shepherd who works as a police dog for the Chicago Police Department. Ellie and her partner, Officer Carlos, become inseparable, fighting crime and forging an unbreakable bond of trust until one day in the line of duty, Ellie dies.
Wow, that's kind of a bummer,
Oh,
Paul.
again?
Why did that happen?
But then she comes back to life again.
Yay! Woo! Glad to hear it.
Close.
Next up is Tino, a corgi that is
Corgi.
adopted by a college student. Tino and the young co-ed form an endearing friendship until Tino dies.
Paul,
What,
were you
really?
really with that? Come
Again?
on.
Oh, wait, he's back
much.
again.
No.
After Tino, it's Buddy, the Australian Shepherd St. Bernard mix, who...
All right, hang on a second. Let's just stop right there. I think I know where this is going. That'll be enough. We get the point. I only have so many tears.
All right. Well, listen, just to catch the listeners up, the dog returns to Earth a number of times to make terrible mistakes in a brand new life.
And each time the mutt respawns, it lives another Disney adventure and brings meaning to the lives of this country's many sad sacks.
Live, Die, Repeat, Canine Edition, stars Dennis Quaid, KJ Apa, Britt Robertson, and Josh Gad as the voice of the dog, or dogs. Along with Frozen, Angry Birds, and an Ice Age movie, Josh Gad seems to be proving that he truly does have a face for voiceover.
A Dog's Purpose. It's the movie nobody's calling Cloud Atlas meets All Dogs Go to Heaven.
There you go. That's
Cloud Atlas. I almost forgot about that movie.
I did forget about
Oh,
that.
that was horrible.
Mama, I'm home.
This feels like this. I get the impression
Yes.
this might be a kind of brilliant movie.
I hope so, because I cried 3 times during the trailer.
At least,
I
right?
cry during the trailer. I
You did
can't.
not.
Just-
Seriously?
Yes, 3 times.
It's a very good
I
way.
can't handle this movie. I can't handle dog stuff. I love it.
So you don't care if people die, just dogs.
Yes. Kids do not make me cry in movies. Dogs, animals.
Oh, God. You know, I could watch it. Okay, so the dog died.
No, I
Next.
can't handle it. Man, the minute a dog dies in something, I'm done watching it.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, the one with Kevin Spacey, the very first episode.
House of Cards.
Got as far as him killing the dog, I was done. I was like, screw you, TV show.
Oh, when he shot the dog?
He smushes it like it's got hit by a car or something.
Well, I was trying to show that he wasn't a good person.
And it
Mission
worked.
accomplished.
And I said, I'm done with you, dumb movie.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Oh, the director's Lasse Hallström.
Oh, yeah.
Lassie, yay!
He's great.
Another doggy name.
And Peggy Lipton from the Mod Squad in Twin Peaks is in it.
Oh, well, I hope she shows up in the Twin Peaks reboot.
Oh, my God. Anyway, go ahead.
Sorry, you stay on your phone.
You tell us.
People at home, though, don't go to your phone now, even though our guest is. Stick with us.
At least he's not playing Angry Birds. He's actually looking up the movie.
Well, I am. And Juliet Rylance is in it, who is married to Mark Rylance, or is either his wife or his sister. I can't remember.
I hope.
Could
my
be
wife and
both,
my sister.
but he's Irish.
I
so
was going
the-
to say, I hope it's not both. Okay.
But this does really have a wonderful cast, I have to say.
Oh,
John
Dennis
Ortiz
Quaid.
is a wonderful actor. Dennis Quaid is great. I got to say, and Josh Gad, he plays all 3 dogs. So the dog actually.
It's the same spirit, I think.
Person dog. And Peggy Lipton, God, how does she look so good? She must be at least 65. And oh, God. Well, let's go see how old she is. Anyway.
Tangent.
Well, because they're trying to take this off IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
She's 70. This woman is 70. Oh my! This is a 70-year-old woman.
She's beautiful.
Not at that moment, not in that picture.
Yeah, no. What was this? 60? I can't believe it. There's something deathly wrong with what's happening.
Sold
in
her
Hollywood.
soul, apparently.
Yeah,
The crossroads.
Apparently, yeah. It's those hormones that everybody's taking. That's why everybody's so shiny.
But we were
Hormones.
talking about the
What?
controversy and about them. If you've seen the video, they basically just kind of throw this German Shepherd into the water. And one of the unfortunate side effects is that the dog wouldn't act after that. They had other scenes, and they had to do the scene over and over again. So they had to entice it with hot dogs and ice cream cones, much like they did with Marlon Brando later in his career.
I knew that was going somewhere. I was like,
That's
if I just keep,
terrible.
I'm
It
going to let
wasn't.
this go and see where that drops.
Thank you. I feel pretty proud of myself.
So how can you find Will Smith in the snow?
Look for the Fresh Prince.
That's right.
Zing.
They
Good
had,
night, everybody.
Yeah, they even had like the cards taped to the other actors that said "bark, bark, bark" on it, so the dog knew what to say.
But it seems
They
like
did that. They did that in The Godfather,
Just
with
like Brando.
Is this the movie that you want to bring your kids to? That's the thing. It's like
I think it teaches kids about death in a way because you get
Over
to
and over again.
Over and over again.
I don't know how. I mean, I think it's probably not good for really little kids.
I don't know. It depends on if you like the kid.
But wouldn't it be refreshing for a story about death and the usual one? I mean, if a kid finds out, wait, my dog dies, he goes and has another adventure. Yeah, it's all good.
None of us have. Do you have kids?
No.
I just can't imagine having children. I mean, what would you do? What if you got one that didn't work out?
I know it's.
That happens all the time.
You
It's
go, to
your
the
life.
you go to the clerk and go, I'm sorry, this one's not working out. I'd like to have it exchanged. Something's wrong. The batteries fell out. It's just
not gonna
I
happen.
can't imagine.
The problem with
I
the kid.
think life is hard enough right now. I can't imagine going, you know what? I'm going to take a wild card, put it in my life, and be responsible for it forever.
Forever. That's the thing.
No.
How long? When does this run out? That's my father used to say to me.
Yeah.
When
are we done with this?
When is it not my turn?
But I guess people tell me that apparently when you have a kid, you like it. I can't believe it.
It has to happen. It
I
has
can't
to happen.
believe
But I know
it.
so many. I mentor a lot of kids in their
can't
late
believe it.
teens and 20s, and I think, oh God, I'm glad. Yeah, you're done. Go home. It's done. We're done.
Yeah.
And what I hate is when they don't do it. They take what you tell them to do, and they just don't do it. They don't do it. How do
How do you deal with it?
How does that work?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm in charge.
What if they go away? What if they lived in your house and you're like, hey, when you're done using the stove, could you turn it off so we don't die? And they're like, no.
But think about the movies we saw as kids. I mean, they're all very scary, and people were
Bambi.
dying all the time. This is a
Well, we weren't so sensitive then.
exactly. This is a generation of
need to toughen up.
participation trophies.
please.
right?
Oh, yeah, you're number 62.
Yeah.
You're so great. Yeah.
As a kid, you open up the Ark, guys' heads explode. Whatever, I go on my day. It's, no.
When I was a kid, if I came in
crushed.
third, I didn't. Well, if I came in fourth, I didn't get a trophy, and then I tried harder next year.
Yep.
Right?
Or you just went and played volleyball.
Yeah, I
instead.
said, screw this. I'm not a softball player.
When I was a kid, my mother would give me just a little whiskey. I go to sleep, and then she can go shopping and have sex with the butcher.
I like it. That sounds good.
That's my mom.
I always did like your mother.
Oh,
were you a butcher?
he was. You should see us meet.
Ah.
Well
we got
done,
another
Karen.
movie,
Oh,
everybody. Karen, Matthew
Yes?
McConaughey is back again.
Yes!
I know you love him.
I do.
And here he's fat and bald.
I got to tell you, though, I was all excited about this movie because I thought it was fool's gold, and I thought that he was going to be shiny. I really like when Matthew McConaughey is shiny.
Nope, fat and bald.
No,
Sorry,
fat
honey.
and bald that you could see occasionally. Sometimes you could see that.
No.
Let's talk about gold.
Always believe in your soul. You've got the power to know.
Good news, Free State of Jones fan. The McConaissance continues this month as Matthew McConaughey returns to give getting nominated for an Academy Award a second shot.
Since it's Oscar season, it's once again time for the running of the eccentrics. The eccentric of the week is Kenny Wells. Gold tells his story of how one washed-up businessman risked it all to discover gold in an Indonesian jungle and became one of the richest men on earth, and therefore also smart.
Now, how do I know this movie might be depressing? Because the trailer starts with Reno, 1988. It's here that Wells inherits the family business of mining. Unfortunately, Kenny seems to lack the Midas touch and eventually finds himself hitting rock bottom, losing his house and having to move in with his girlfriend, Kay, played by Bryce Dallas Howard.
With a really beautiful wig. Go
And
ahead.
on second thought, how rock bottom can you be when your backup plan is moving in with Bryce Dallas Howard?
Exactly.
Something, Bryce Dallas Howard Buyers Club. Kenny begins a slow descent into occasional drunkenness, prompting a booze-induced vision about gold in them thar hills. Unfortunately, them thar hills are in one of the world's most remote and dangerous jungles.
Detroit?
No, Indonesia. I mentioned that already.
Yes, but Detroit was still a valid guess, Paul.
Teaming up with geologist Michael Acosta, played by Edgar Ramirez.
These are hard names.
Michael is hard. Yeah, it's brutal. The two head into the jungles of a third world Southeast Asian country where everything goes smoothly as they try to unearth Earth's most precious metal.
Gold! Gold! He found it! Hey, Eureka! Gold! Gold! He discovered gold!
boy, gold,
Hey,
gold,
he
gold,
discovered-
what
There's
with yellow
over here.
gold? Where?
Over here.
Where?
Over here.
Where?
Somebody say him.
Where?
Over here.
Where?
Here.
Now, my rule is never go to a country whose name sounds like a symptom. But having no such personal rule, Wells goes to Indonesia.
The jungle is unforgiving, as narrator Werner Herzog will tell you.
Of course, there's a lot of misery, but it is the same misery that is all around us. The trees here are in misery, and the birds are in misery. I don't think they sing, they just screech in pain.
Oh, my.
If your dream involves going to Indonesia, it might be time to pick another dream.
But there, they found a fortune. And according to movie physics, money can't be gained without generating the equal and opposite reaction to lose it. So I'm assuming this movie doesn't cut to the credits after it goes all awesome.
Nope, the fortune doesn't come without a few trials and tribulations. Kenny falls ill to malaria, the miners they hired to do all the digging quit, and the jungle they are in seems to be haunted by a mysterious humming ghost.
I dated him.
And sure enough, they strike it rich with one of the biggest gold finds in history. But billions of dollars in gold itself wasn't enough for Kenny Wells. No, he wanted even more. So what does he do? He heads to Wall Street.
Wait, stop that.
Here he quickly learns that you better know how to walk the talk, or talk the walk, or Walker, Texas walkie-talkie ranger, or something. I was never good at business.
Unlike the clap, the problem with having a lot of gold is that a bunch of greedy old men expect you to give it to them. Or worse yet, these greedy old men just try and take it away from you, much like your virginity. Here's the scene where Kenny starts to realize that his empire is being threatened.
I'm struck and rich. I'm a billionaire. I'm a trillionaire. I'm a zillionaire. I'm rich. I'm rich.
Now, McConaughey plays bald as Wells. Second only to growing a beard, playing bald is a surefire way to let the world know that you are to be taken seriously as an actor. And whenever an actor plays bald for a role, not only are you forced to take him seriously, but you also have to wonder, is he playing bald or just going all natural? You know, like with John Travolta, Bruce Willis, John Cryer, Nicolas Cage, Ted Danson, Albert Brooks, Woody Harrelson, and Kirstie Alley. Will Wells be able to tow his ship over the mountain and bring opera to the natives? We'll see, or we'll just break the seal of that Fitzcarraldo Blu-ray we bought to impress that cute girl from the marijuana dispensary until she didn't show up or even act like she knew me at the showing of Dr. Strangelove at the New Beverly. Pretty sure Adam wrote that line, by the way.
Okay. I think so. I think that's an Adam line.
And that's gold.
Oh, that's Milo.
I'm just excited that we get to listen to Spandau Ballet.
I went to a screening where Matthew was there, and so was Edgar. They were both at the screening because I was invited because I'm a celebrity.
Absolutely.
And it was really interesting. The film is good. It's just it's complicated. It's a complicated story, and I did think that him being fat and bald was a little distracting. For some reason, it just didn't work for me, and I don't know why. I can't tell you why. Though he's a wonderful actor, and Edgar is a terrific actor. It's based on a real person. This really happened. I think it's a book. Is it a book? Or the story is based on a real person's story,
based on real events, probably.
Yeah, and it was really dynamic. But it's just it's the idea that the people who get money don't know what to do with it. It's sort of sad. It made me sad, but the film is good and it's worth a watch.
Was he real fat? Because I'm pretty sure the bald is fake.
No, he's
fake fat.
He was fat, and I was
he gained weight.
He said he ate just fast food every day.
Yeah, and what's interesting is he came and he looked gorgeous again.
Did he have his hair back?
Yeah,
okay.
He looked gorgeous again, which really irritated me. Like he could gain all this weight and just lose it. It was like nothing.
He said on Howard Stern that he is vain and he is willing to gain weight and lose weight depending on what needs to be done because he's so vain. He knows he will get back in shape as soon as they wrap. He said, "I just know I will because I can't. I have to."
Is he 40 yet?
I think so. Yeah.
So wait when he gets a little
and he
older.
won't be able to do that as easily.
It's really hard. It really messes with your body. Apparently, Tom Hanks has had some problems with it physically because you can't lose and gain.
I think he got diabetes, right?
Did he?
I think so.
From Castaway?
I don't know if he got it from that, but he has it.
Oh, that's true.
I think it was Angels and Aspects. I think that's what gave him diabetes. I love Tom Hanks. I can't believe he wasn't nominated for Sully.
I can't believe either. I absolutely loved that movie. I thought he nailed it.
I liked the movie. I didn't love the movie.
Oh, that was really
but
interesting.
I really liked his performance. I thought it was extraordinary.
I love Captain Phillips.
I thought Captain Phillips was one of the most brilliant films. That last 15 minutes was
where he's crying.
Were the best. It wasn't even crying. It was his complete
he breaks down,
completely lost, and apparently that whole scene was improvised.
But you have no doubt he was there. And he had just gone through everything you watched in that movie.
He also did not.
He's so authentic.
He did not meet the other actors. Paul Greengrass, I think that's who directed it.
Yeah.
He did not meet the other actors until he got on the boat, so they wanted that sort of shock feeling of like, oh my
I went to a Q&A with Hanks because I'm a celebrity, and he said that Paul Greengrass just hired a nurse and said, I don't even have any direction for you except do your job.
Do what you would do in this situation.
Ask the questions you would ask. Do the things you have to do.
I sort of hated that part, but I don't like real people in movies, and she was a little boring. But he was great.
He was really great.
I didn't see any differentiation between the authenticity of both of them.
Are we going to talk about the Oscar nominations?
We can. I brought it because you mentioned Hanks in that a little bit.
So who got nominated for Best Actor? Tell everybody.
Casey Affleck, Andrew Garfield for Hacksaw Ridge, Ryan Gosling, Viggo Mortensen, Captain Fantastic, and Denzel for Fences.
I got to say Viggo was was brilliant. Captain Fantastic was really a dumb name for that movie because it really sounds like one of these action adventure films, and it's not. It's about this man who decides to live off the grid with his wife, and his wife apparently was bipolar, had some problems, and she gets really sick and gets cancer, and she passes away. And then they have to come back. The kids have to come back, and apparently her family is very wealthy, and the father, and what it's like for the kids to deal with getting back into society, and the kids are so smart and interesting. It was just a wonderful film.
It sounds like an Elton John biopic too. Either way, it's not what you think it would be when you hear Captain Fantastic.
No, again, yes, not and Denzel in Fences is probably one of the most, just his ability with language. I mean, it's a very language-oriented film. That's the thing. It's more of a play on
Yeah, it's
film.
not very cinematic as
No,
a film, but
no,
they
I
acted
thought that was
hell
the
out of
one
that
thing
movie.
that I didn't like about it, and they didn't open it up.
They didn't even open it up.
And
I
they
noticed
could have,
that
'cause
too.
That would have given you a couple more women's roles.
Yes, I was thinking we could have seen the. I don't want to ruin it, but yeah.
We could have seen the other woman.
Yep.
We could have seen
I
also
agree.
the wife of his best friend.
Yep.
And their relationship. That would have been really good.
We saw a little bit of the wife going to church and finding peace in the comfort of those women and getting baptized.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
that was
And
the only thing that was
Viola
different.
Davis is extraordinary in the film, but the
I
one
think
thing
she's
is,
your lock for the.
I
for
think
Oscar
she is
night.
too, but she really is not in a supporting role.
I don't think
It's
so.
the lead, and I
It's
think
the
that's
lead.
wrong, and I think it's really wrong that they
I'll
did
give you that.
Yeah.
I do too.
I give the Oscar to Affleck, by the way. Too.
I saw the film, and I hope he doesn't ever hear this, but I love Casey, and I thought he was good in the film, but to me, it's not an Oscar. I wouldn't. I mean, I think that I love Kenneth Lonergan. I think he's brilliant, and I think the film is brilliant. I think there's two problems with it. Again, the women's roles are too small, and the two Oscar moments are done in silence and slow-mo when I don't want to tell because I don't want to wreck it for the people, but there's two major moments in the film, and I thought that was a directorial mistake for me. But I think that he does a very good job.
Well, I think the Affleck and Michelle Williams scene that is done.
Yeah, but she's
not
the
in
one.
slow-mo.
She's the
It's
one.
her.
But that's
Yeah.
a major
And
Oscar moment.
Yeah, but she
for both of them.
she's really, she just friggin', steals that scene and steals that whole thing with the blonde wig and the whole thing. And,
I
Big
think
thing for
I think
wigs.
playing the
why.
pain and the repression of it, the way he did that whole film.
Well,
I
the
think,
film
I
is
thought it
about
was
the
very good.
loss
Yeah.
of children, and it's just extraordinary. She has an extraordinary performance, but she's not going to win, and that really is a supporting role because Viola Davis is in the wrong category. Because I don't think any of the women in the Best Actress category would have a chance against
That
her.
would be Isabelle Huppert,
No, I didn't see
Ruth
that.
Negga, Natalie Portman for Jackie, Emma
Let's
Stone,
talk
and
about
Meryl
Ruth
Streep.
Negga for just a second in Loving. I saw that. I got to tell you, I think her performance. That film is a really. Have you seen? I seen
I
it.
did not see it.
I did.
A very quiet movie, which I love.
It's damn near passive.
And
You know?
thought it was passive.
Well, it's not a very aggressive movie about its topic.
I wouldn't call it passive at all, but I called it the people were passive. But also, it's a part of the time. It's about ordinary people caught in extraordinary circumstance. And when there's that one scene in the film, they used it in the trailer when the husband played by
Joel Edgerton.
Joel Edgerton. They say, "What do you have anything to say?" He says, "Yeah, just." And he turns his head and he just looks back with his eyes and he says, "Yeah, tell him I love my wife." And I thought, oh my God, I just lost it.
Yeah.
And that was so powerful. And that's filmmaking. That's what I loved. It's about filmmaking. It's about and I love the silences in the movie were so, I wouldn't call it passive at all. I thought it was really powerful.
Well, you just got to wrap your head around it. It's not like
It's not like
a Time to Kill or
No,
something.
when
when you're
not
looking
your
at
action. Yeah. Who else is for
Jeff
Best Actor?
Nichols, I think, is one of the great directors out there, though. That
I
has
met
a
him.
Real,
He's- yeah.
unique American voice.
Because you're a celebrity.
Yeah.
Well, there was one joke. Let it go, straight boy. And then, of course, the front runner they say is Natalie Portman for Jackie, which
Is
I
that
saw,
right?
and she's great. But
I mean, the best performance was probably Amy Adams in Arrival, and that was probably the biggest snub
But she
of the
wasn't
night.
nominated.
no,
right?
the best performance
But
is Annette Bening in the 20th century.
Also a snub, yeah.
I really could
haven't
not
seen that
believe.
yet.
And the really biggest snub was Nate Parker, honestly. And no jokes aside, for The Birth of a Nation playing Nat Turner. I mean, if you watch that scene on the porch where he uses, again, incredible language, and it speaks, that now we're singing a new song. I mean, I was there when he shot that.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first day on the set.
Oh,
And I was like, okay, I got to get my crap together here. They're doing it. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, his ability to use language and also use his face at the same time. And there was a quiet sort of masculinity and powerfulness. And you don't know whether Nat Turner is insane, a hero, or completely mentally ill because of what happened to people in that time. And I think he really played all three.
You'd have every right to be mentally ill.
Absolutely.
I
People
think so.
driven insane.
I don't know how you
by
wouldn't be.
that-
The way people treated
by slavery.
Yeah.
I mean, it's when we.
Wait, I should give a quick recap for those folks who are
Okay.
listening. The Birth of a Nation, is the film from 2016. Nate Parker directed, starred, wrote it, and he plays Nat Turner, who
and raised the money.
Producer, wow.
And he made the film about Nat Turner, which is a legendary slave revolt from the Civil War. And that's
1831, before the Civil War. 1831,
Civil War.
1831. And if you watch the film at the end, you'll see how it progresses to the Civil War. There's a beautiful, if you really, because I've seen the film.
Yeah, the final shot's really good.
6 times. So because I'm in the film, as if anybody didn't know that. And I got to say, it was just an incredible work experience. But going with the Oscars,
Wait,
we'll talk.
no, let's move on to Birth of a Nation.
Oh, you want to do it? Okay.
I'm gonna play a little clip of you, and this is.
Oh wow!
This is Joseph Randall. Your
did
character.
you get the?
We know somebody.
Yeah. We
Oh
know.
my God!
This is now. You're one of the first people that Armie Hammer is the slave owner of Nat Turner and
his childhood friend.
Yeah, they
Oh, is that
grew
right?
up
They grew
together.
up together
Yeah,
like
he's
brothers.
that's right,
the
right,
boy,
of
the
course,
blonde.
yeah.
Mhm.
But they, I thought you were saying Armie and Nat.
Oh, no,
and
the
Nate grew up
characters.
friends. I was like, wait a second.
He always
Going in and
misunderstands
out.
everything. He goes down the street and then he drives.
I understand you.
Okay.
But they realize that these white men realize they could be making money if they take Nat and job him out sort of for preaching at these various farms where there's low morale.
Right. And the low morale is because because my character says I cut him back to a meal a day.
Wait, we got that
meal
right
a
here.
day.
So you're one of the first people they pitch this to.
It's hard times for small farmers like you and myself. Breaking even's hard enough, but getting ahead's impossible. So to save some, I cut them back to a meal a day per head. Now, a few of them started getting fidgety, so I had Abner come down on them. Abner here, it's my only real protection. Now, they needs to mind me. You speak on that. They treasure in heaven from submitting and all. They gets to moaning or carrying on. You don't pay them no mind because they're lazy as all hell. They do anything to get out of work. You ready, boy?
Now, when he says he has one thing to protect him, it's a very tall black man behind him.
Yeah.
That's protecting him.
Who is my house slave.
Yeah.
And who could be my son. I mean, that's what's really
true.
interesting is the incest
That's
and the way the house slaves were really part of the fabric of the family. And people don't, I did a lot of research where, houses were miles sometimes apart and there was no cars. You had a horse or two. People weren't really leaving to go to the store, you know, and pick up something because everything was made on the actual plantation. There were little communities, so sexuality there was a lot of inbreeding and also not a lot of people living, and it's hard for us to understand that you guys could be married, he could be having an affair with one of the slaves who truly could be in love with him in some weird way, and you would be in the house and go, and what do you say? Oh, Alice is here again, I mean, it's just like I don't even understand. It's hard for us to to have any concept of what was going on then. People ask me, how did you play such an awful person? Because I played one of 3 plantation owners, and rape, murder, and torture, the 3 things that our characters do. So people said to me, how did I play a part like that? Number 1, it was great fun to play that part. Number 2, I read the script only once and then I never picked it up again because I didn't want to know anything that my character caused. I didn't want to know about it. I just wanted to play the part. And in each scene, you're all actors except for him.
That's
right. You play the scene and play what you have to get and play your objective and what you want to do in the scene. And that's what I did. And it was an incredible experience as an artist. It changed me as a person, honestly. And then to be with this film for the whole year and promoting it and going to the festivals. And
Well, let's go back to the beginning then, because Nate raises the money. He wants to make this. It's truly an indie film. To have,
well, it's a $10 million or 8.5, 8.5, I guess, is what the final was on.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, hey, Warner Brothers financed
No, not
this.
at all.
He
No,
went and
it
got
was
the money and he made it. So how do you get involved?
So 5 years ago, I got an agent in New Orleans, and I started auditioning for things there by putting myself on tape in my dining room. Basically, I, being a gay man, have an accent wall. And I would take the picture off, and I'd do the scene, and I got to play all these, and a lot, certainly because it took place, a lot of them were Mississippi, Atlanta, New Orleans, a lot of Southern characters, and I've never had a problem playing Southern characters. And so I just kept auditioning, and then for 2 years I got nothing. Wow. And then 2 years I got called in for some film called Mississippi Grind, and I flew out for that. to meet with the directors, two wonderful directors, and then I got did Sleepy Hollow. And
nice.
Then I got just hired.
The TV show, yeah.
I just got hired off the tape.
Great.
And show up in South Carolina, and I shot that. And then I got called. I'm on the way to a stand-up gig, and my agent says, "Oh, you got to do this part. We got to get this for this thing called Birth of a Nation, and you got to play Plantation. You got to get this on tape by, it was 7:00, and I was driving to a gig far away, and I'm the headliner, so I'm last.
Mm-hmm.
So that means I won't finish and get home until like midnight. And I don't have time to work on. I'll be exhausted. And I saw it's 2 scenes, and that long monologue that you just heard was in it.
Right.
That I had to audition and prepare for. And they want the tape by noon the next day. So lucky I didn't have a publicist at the time, but I did have an assistant that I was working with every week. I said, get there at 9 a.m. instead of 10. He was booked to work. I put myself on tape, sent it off by 11, and that was it. I was done. A week later, I get a call and says they want me to come and meet this guy named Nate Parker. That name sounds familiar. I look him up. He was in, Secret Life of the Bees and the film
Red Tails.
Red Tails, and he was also in the Denzel Washington film.
Great Debaters.
Great Debaters, and then he had a film out, that romantic film, the Bodyguard kind of thing, Behind the Lights.
Yeah.
Or Above the Lights, or
Beyond the
Lights, something like that. And I thought, I know this guy. And then he was in Arbitrage, which I completely forgot.
Great movie.
Yes, really great movie with Richard Gere. And I just loved that movie. And he got all these awards. And I thought, oh, wow, okay. So I got a cheap plane ticket, that I use a frequent flyer for. And then I get some crappy hotel and even crappier car. And I fly out there in the middle of the night to get there to audition the next day, and in the hotel there's some pregnant woman smoking on the balcony, and some guy in the pool looks like he's going to murder me in my sleep. I take my crappy car, I drive 3 hours early to this strip mall, half hour to Savannah, Georgia, and I'm in the restaurant, and I put a thing, I'm auditioning for a plantation owner, and I put it on Facebook, and 400 people say, oh, how cool, I hope you get it. And I think, this is never going to happen. So I go back to my car, I get the script, so I'm 2 hours early after lunch, I still don't have anything to do. So I'm sitting around the parking lot, repeating my lines and saying the N-word over and over again.
As you do in a strip mall.
Because I've never said the N-word very much, except maybe in my car, when I'm singing to Snoop Dogg. Anyway.
Right.
And I never the ER, just the AS. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I see some man comes over to me and he says, I know you. And I'm thinking, there's a fan in a parking lot a half hour of Savannah, Georgia? No, that's crazy. Right. It's Nate Parker.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was like, all of a sudden I went, and he was so kind and so open.
Great that happened.
And he was so handsome. And I just sort of relaxed.
Yeah.
Then I went in a red. And he said, can you do it again? Could you be a little more funnier? You're being a little, And I said, can I roller skate? And,
nice.
Can I be funny? So I said, would you mind if I did both scenes? Because it was, the monologue. So I wanted to get my, and then I just sort of played the scene a little funnier. And then I did that. And he said, thank you very much. And I thought, okay, I'm never going to see this guy again. It's a great project. Good luck. Got a call the next day from my agent in New Orleans assistant, because my agent wasn't there that day. And she goes, hi. She says, how's your day going? I said, Megan, it's fine. What's going on with you? She says, well, it's about to get a lot better. And I said, why? She says, well, you got the part. And I said, well, what part?
Yeah, right.
Because I thought it was one of the other things that I put myself on tape for. She says, well, the plantation owner. I said, don't you tease me. And then she said, you got it. And I just broke down and I cried.
That's awesome.
And I had another friend on the other line. I never went back to him. I completely forgot I was talking to someone else. And Roger Ganver Smith plays Isaiah in the film.
I think he's great too.
And a lot of people know him. He's a light-skinned black guy who was in all the Spike Lee movies. And I knew him because we had done a movie called Dirty the year before, and we became friendly. And I rewind just a little. When I got the call back to fly to Savannah, Georgia on my own dime, I called him. I said, hey, could you put a word in for me? And he called me back. He said, I talked to Nate. He said, you were good. We liked you. You just go and do a good job. But we didn't talk much about you. I said, okay, that didn't help. So when I got it, I sent him an email and I said, thank you for putting a word in. He said in his own way, there's no other way. It's very poetic the way he says. He says, oh shit, man, you had it from the get-go. What all you had to do, And I thought, oh man. So I got this part because of my work.
Yeah.
Which was really great, because I was so afraid when I got there on the set that I was going to get fired for being gay. Not because they knew I was gay, because they'd see it. You know, like there's an expression called your slip is showing.
Right.
So I was afraid I would do something with my hand or my voice or something would happen. And I worked on this film like 4 hours a day for 7 days before I left. And then I flew to Jacksonville, Florida, where a friend of mine lives, and I was 5 days early from when I was going to start, because if they needed me for a table read or to meet with the director, I wanted to meet with him. And I met with him, and he called me, and I went to his house that he was renting, and it was like Thanksgiving, and his kids running around, and his mother-in-law, and and his wife was there, and they took me to this office that was in the back over a garage. And the first thing I said to him is, "Thank you so much for casting me." And he said, "No, thank you." Oh. And I turned my head and I almost fell apart, because it's not every day you get to be a part of something that's a part of history that changes the way people think. And I knew that this film was important. I didn't know it was going to be such a big deal when what happened at Sundance. I mean, the room shook. I've never been in a movie, and the year before I was in Tangerine, which was a big hit.
I love Tangerine.
And the year before that, I was in Love Is Strange, which was Ira Sachs' film with Fred Molina, and Marissa Tomei, and John Lithgow. So I had been at Sundance 2 years before with films, which is something I always wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't like a forum, but this was completely different. It's like, you want to go to a party and you want to get in. Well, I was at the party that everybody was calling me to get in. That,
wow.
That was more exciting than actually being at the party. And then when you get to the party, usually it's not exciting, but this was exciting because I was with all my castmates, and I was with people you could see people were so moved by the movie. And then when we brought it to Toronto, we got 2 standing ovations. In Sundance, we won the Best Picture Award and the Best Audience Award. And Nate Parker recently just got nominated for Best Director at the Directors Guild, Best New Director. And the film has been nominated for 5 Image Awards and on a lot of 10 Best lists. And I think it's really been robbed of the more success it could have had with other awards because of the misinformation about Nate Parker. And I know this man, and we're still in touch. And I just really learned something this year about racism and the way people treat people, and that's why I say be so careful what you say now, because we're not living in the same world that we all grew up in, where we can make a joke and people know that it goes on the internet, and all of a sudden one thing rolls into another. I'm going to build a wall.
Well, it's just like,
who's going to pay for it? I don't know.
It's just like the way they cut to just what they wanted with the dog.
Exactly.
You can be doing all these jokes, and then you say one thing, and they'll just use that.
But they never even they did it publicly before they even got a chance for the people to say, "Hey, this is what happened."
Yeah.
And the director of A Dog's Purpose said, why didn't they just release the video the next day if they really wanted to change the way on set? Yeah, it was like a year and a half later, waited to the opening. It was sabotage.
When you're doing a movie where there's so many people, Fox Searchlight really tried so hard, and they decided all of us weren't allowed to do any press, and everything stopped for 2 weeks before
we're back to the Nate thing.
Yeah, back to Nate.
Back to when we went.
Should you explain for listeners what that's all about?
Well, he was accused 20 years ago. He was accused of rape by a girlfriend he had in college, and he went through a trial, and he was not guilty, and it didn't matter to anybody that he was not guilty. They just decided that he was, and it wasn't the truth. I don't want to say specifics because it's really not pertinent, to talk about this on this show in this format. If people want, they can go read the court transcripts. They're there. But the fact is that he wasn't, and that he was. The press sort of did a public lynching of him, and say, why doesn't he apologize? And and he was, and it's just, I've never seen anything happen like that in my life. And there are other actors who have had, and I won't say because I don't want to say names, because I don't want to repeat things that I don't know anything about, but have been accused of other crimes and stuff with women and sexual.
It's the choice of people bringing forth the information, because you're saying that Nate had done a series of other films. And nobody brought this up.
It was on his Wikipedia page, and it's never not been on it.
It's just a big thing now because he's having success with something.
I think it's also because it's a film about black people killing white people.
Exactly.
And it's a really powerful movie, and if anybody has the chance to see it away from anything that happened, and I didn't mean to, if I jumped on you, but I do think it's really important to talk about, if you're going to talk about in the words that we use and how we describe what was going on when it happened. Like somebody says, say, I believe in the Bible. I said, do you speak Aramaic? No. Well, you don't really know. You're
You
just
know the
sort of-
translations.
You know the translation of the
Mhm.
translation of the translation. We don't really know, and also the euphemisms and the cultural and all the things that happen, and how in England the word fag is a cigarette, and here in the United States it's a derogatory term towards gay people. I mean, it's something is so language can change so much.
Well, now it's going to be even more confusing because we all know that we're allowed to use alternative facts. So
yeah, that's the new.
we
thing.
won't even know what's real is.
Nothing's real, but we're going to
Nothing's
build a
real.
wall, and
Mhm.
now we're all paying for it because it was an alternative fact. But anyway,
Do you think that the film would have fared better if it came out more
Oh,
towards
yeah.
award season?
Of course, that was weird
well,
that they did it.
No.
I mean, as far as the end of year awards go.
I think they were out to get him, and several publications. You know, almost every publication would start it with these 1 or 2 paragraphs about this. It's never written about.
Who are they?
Any of the show business press.
Okay, so the
the
industry itself
and other press too, because it got regurgitated
Yeah.
through all the other press. But I don't want to say, because I don't want to repeat names and give people credit, but I've looked it up, and specific show business press, literally 26 to 30 stories, maybe more. When I looked it up, it was like 30 stories written about the film, all had these paragraphs in it about that. It was never written about just the film. And if anybody wants to see the film, you can see it now on streaming and DVD, and it's a brilliant movie.
I got to tell you, I watched the movie without any of that garbage because I forgot all about that.
Oh, wow.
And until you brought it up right now, I went, oh, yeah, there's a thing, isn't there? I totally forgot about the thing.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm sorry that I did.
Now you've ruined it. Now.
Edit that down.
But I want to talk about Tangerine. Who did you play in Tangerine? Because I loved it.
I play the manager doorman, Joey the doorman.
Is that the iPhone movie?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really good. Have you seen it?
No.
It's
I've heard
so
of it.
touching.
And there were some non-actors in that, right?
The lead, right?
No, well, not really. She
Oh, okay.
wanted to be an actress, so she had acted in other
Okay,
things.
good. She was
And
great.
So they were people that wanted to be actors. So they weren't people that they just said, "Oh, you're acting now." So
The cab driver was wonderful.
I need transvestites. Get me more transvestites.
They're not transvestites.
They're
That's
actual.
a quote from a movie.
Oh, what movie was that from?
Ed Wood.
Ed Wood.
When in doubt,
Ed
Bart's
Wood.
quoting Ed Wood.
I love the cab driver
They're
guy.
transgender
He was
gals.
wonderful.
You
Oh,
can't be
yeah.
a transgender gal, can you? You can just be transgender.
Anybody can be a gal or a guy.
A guy. If you're transgender, you can go either way.
I didn't.
Choose.
Somebody give me the rules, please.
There are no rules. It's a gray area.
The thing I did not expect when I saw that movie is that it would be so much about friendship.
Oh.
I really happy
What's
about
really
that.
about the movie's about the day in the life of these two working girls and how they have to do what they have to do, and it shows the sadness and what has to happen. And the actual girl, Maya Taylor, who the brunette in the film, I mentored for a year or two, and I've been close to her. And the story is somewhat close to her life.
Oh.
And the other gal, the blonde gal, Kiki Rodriguez, is now still living on the street.
No.
And in not in a great place.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's really interesting. She was nominated for Best Actress next to Kate Blanchett for Carol for the Spirit Award. And I said, if she doesn't come, I'm wearing the blonde wig and I'm showing up. If she
Good
wins.
for you.
Again with the wigs with this guy.
This guy loves the wigs.
That's why I can't watch Game of Thrones. There's too many.
Too many wigs.
I am obsessed with hair and wigs because I'm bald.
Paul. Jason. Bart has a really interesting theory about women can wear wigs whenever, but men should be able to just wear wigs, just have their hair for work hair.
Occasional hair. I should have my evening hair, my sporting hair.
Now celebrities do it, but
Yeah.
everybody should.
Everyone
Billy
should
Bob
do it.
Thornton, he'll
He
show up
does it.
somewhere. He's got red carpet hair on. Then he shows up somewhere else to work, and he's got the work hair. And then he shows.
He
up
has a
somewhere
lot of different hair.
Yeah.
He just does it.
But other people can't.
But no one goes,
do
hey,
that.
he's trying to pull one over on us. No, we go, hey, he's got his formal hair on.
But John Travolta does it too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah,
but
John Travolta has his I'm famous hair, and then
Yep.
when you saw him in
He
different
has the
things.
worst hair. Why
Really?
Has no one oh my God.
Oh, his Eddie Munster painted
The
on.
hairline,
Yeah.
the devil. What is it? Widow's Peak. It's
Widow's
like,
Peak,
yeah.
Looks like
You know,
Eddie Munster.
I think sometimes it looks good. There has been times it hasn't, but when I saw him the last time with the Golden
They look
Globes,
best in Savages.
he looked good. Oh, Savages, he let his hair go.
Yeah.
Oliver Stone insisted, but he's not afraid to do that.
No, I just think it should be socially acceptable and economically feasible for guys like you and I to do that. Because I would like to have.
Really?
He looks great in lots of hair. We did a sketch one time, and he played a rock star, and he had to wear 80s heavy metal hair. Oh my God.
This
Why don't
face
you
needs
wear
hair.
it?
It's crazy. That face
Yeah.
is great with hair.
You don't need hair.
Thank you.
It's even better with hair.
Even better.
Even better.
That's.
I waited a long time to shave my head, and I used to wear different kinds of hair.
Oh yeah.
Because I started losing my hair really young, and people didn't know for the longest time. But then occasionally you have a bad hair day, and somebody will catch you or take a picture of you, and oh God,
I started losing my hair 3 years ago when I was 28.
Really?
Oh Lord! On that note,
Do you
Paul.
have hair, right
Let
here?
me ask you. Let me ask you what we ask everyone who comes on the show. What is your favorite movie of all time?
Ordinary People.
Oh, perfect
Didn't
timing.
even
Mary
wait.
Tyler Moore passed today.
It really,
That's right.
God
You
bless
killed
her.
her.
Yeah.
I've not seen it. Let me write it
The hell
down.
does that
I
mean?
need to watch it.
Ordinary People started a whole genre of films. It was written by Alvin Sargent, directed by Robert Redford. And I went to go see Airplane because everybody was talking about it, how funny it was. And then they said, oh, you want to stay for this preview? It's this movie called Ordinary People with Mary Tyler Moore and Judd Hirsch and, all these people that Mary Tyler Moore. I said, and I was like, oh, my God. And, you see the screen. And it just, as a film, it just so changed the way I thought about acting and the way movies are made and the way it was shot. There was something about the film that was so intense. And also, for those who don't know, it's about a family, a rich family that lives in the suburbs of Chicago. And it's about one of the kids. They have two children, two boys, and one of them gets drowns in a boating accident. The other one doesn't. And then the other one feels so guilty that he tries to commit suicide. And it's about forgiving yourself. So it never really, even at the time, I didn't really get why it meant so much to me, but it is about forgiving yourself and forgiving other people and having a parent who can't handle it, who just can't do it. And I had parents like that who couldn't do it. And you never saw a mom like that or a dad like that in a movie. You never saw a father that was too weak to say, hey, to the mom, hey, you got to, but I grew up like that. Not that my dad was weak, but you saw them kowtowing to the mother's crazy behavior, And there's an incredible scene in the film where Timothy Hutton, who won the Oscar for playing the son that commits suicide, he's outside in the backyard and it's cold. It's Chicago, and the mom walks out and she says, "Hey, what are you doing out here?" And it's nothing. And he says, "Oh," she says, "Well, it's cold." Yeah. And she says, we had a dog once. And they start to talk about a dog, and then he starts to bark. And they're not. And she says, "We're going to stay out here, wear a sweater." They weren't talking about anything that they were talking about. And it was the first time that I really noticed in a scene how you could. Basically, they were trying to connect, and there was no connection. They couldn't talk to each other. They couldn't even have a conversation. I thought, oh my God, that's so real. That's the way, and I thought, God, that's the kind of acting that I want to do. And then my second favorite movie is probably Funny Girl.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
Because
what a Kismet kind of day.
Well, because when I was a kid, I remember driving my Schwinn olive Stingray with the banana white seat with the sparkles in it too, because they used to have that sparkly white seat.
I love
and
that.
I drove it to the Pan
Plastic.
Pacific Theater on Beverly Boulevard and to see Funny Girl, this Jewish girl everybody was talking about. And when I saw the movie, I'd never seen a movie about a Jewish person, because I'm Jewish, who was funny on the outside and sad on the inside and felt like me. And I never saw them being a romantic figure or someone who wasn't perfect.
Right.
And so does she change. People don't realize that, Streisand was the Lady Gaga of her time. She was so outrageous and so different and such a trendsetter. And she changed the way you looked at who was going to be the leading person in the film, and it really changed my way of looking.
Talk
at
about
things.
a Kismet day.
That's what I was saying.
Bart just saw The Lion in Winter for the first time.
Yeah.
Which version?
Katharine Hepburn, Peter O'Toole.
Oh,
and Katharine
my God.
Hepburn and Barbra Streisand tied for Best Actress that year.
Oh.
Isn't that interesting?
How did
Full
they
circle.
they each get a trophy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
That can happen?
There's only been 2 times in the history of the Academy Awards that there's been ties in the actors, and one was for Barbra Streisand and Katharine Hepburn, and then the other was Frederick March and Wallace Berry for The Champ, and Frederick March for
Feel Good.
No, the two
Strangelove.
the 2 doctors, the
Zhivago.
Dr. Hyde, that one?
Yeah, Dr.
Jekyll and Hyde?
Jekyll and Hyde. Dr. Jekyll and
There we
Mr.
go.
Hyde.
Wow. It takes a village, people.
I used to remember.
Takes village people to get
It takes the village people to get this show done.
That's the first time that's ever happened for a man, and the first time for a woman. It's never happened again.
Yeah. All right, well, let's take a look at the finale then.
Oh,
Karen.
yeah,
Our
I'm
big
ready.
finale.
All right.
The birthdays of those who make the movies. Karen's going to go over them now.
And
Yes, sir.
just a moment for Mary Tyler Moore.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, what an icon. And they said something
Hot. That woman in Dick Van Dyke was smoking.
Well, that's why she got the job
Oh, my
first, and then
goodness.
they didn't know that she was going to
so
be a great
pretty.
comedian.
So pretty
on the show, and she sort of understood that. I mean, she changed television for that show, and then Mary Tyler Moore. And the people don't know that she did such great work, and she was so funny in Flirting with Disaster, one of David O. Russell's first films. She did the first film about breast cancer. She played Betty Rollins in First You Cry. She played Mary Todd on TV with Sam Waterston. She won Emmys for TV movies. She did these really great TV movies with these great leading men in the probably the 80s and the 90s. You know, she just was extraordinary. And her last thing that she did was the reunion on Hot Cleveland with some of her.
Oh, yeah. Betty
the
Davis,
stars.
yeah.
No, not Betty Davis.
Betty White.
Davis.
Betty White, who is outliving them all.
Yeah, she's still alive. She's
She is
115.
amazing.
Why am I here?
So, whose birthday is this week, Karen?
Karen's birthdays, it's time for Karen's birthday. Karen's birthdays, it's time for Karen's birthday.
Before I start this birthday, I'm going to say, sadly, this person has passed away. Normally, I do birthdays of people that are still with us, but the reason I did this birthday is because I was writing birthdays yesterday, and I had a dream. I usually don't remember my dreams, but I very distinctly remember this dream that I was hanging out with John Belushi. And
Nice.
Belushi and I were talking, and he was super cool. And Dan was there. Dan Aykroyd was there a little bit. But Belushi was talking to me about the Blues Brothers and how they came up with the idea to do the blues and then have their characters sing it, but they really never talked about the fact that they're doing the blues in a different time period. And he talked to me about my group, the Boubet Sisters. He's like, it's cool that you guys are 60s because people don't care about that. As long as you guys believe it, you just kind of love that music and then you use that to be the bridge to your characters. Whole thing, right? I wake up, I'm like, oh, wow, I just hung out with John Belushi. I go to research birthdays, and it was his birthday. Like, I didn't even know it was Belushi's birthday. And
There's a lot of characters like that, though, in history of
Oh,
movies.
wonderful.
The lovely Terry Garr in the film, the Scorsese film, with Griffin Dunn.
After Hours.
After Hours, yeah. Thank you. I need you around me. I mean, there's all sorts of characters that are stuck in a moment. And if you go to Cantor's on any day here in
They're all stuck in a moment.
They're all stuck in a certain year. You get a waitress go, honey, what do you want?
They're like, oh, 58.
You got 63. She just loved that hairdo, never changed.
Well, I just want you to know that I did the math, and if Belushi were with us today, he'd be 67.
Wow.
Wouldn't that be interesting to see a 67-year-old Belushi? But he did die at 33.
You ever meet a guy that kind of smells like pepperoni?
Yeah.
That Belushi looks like he might do
He
that.
looks like he might smell like pepperoni.
Pepperoni.
But that's okay. I like pepperoni.
How old's Murray? 68?
Something like that, yeah. But
Who was the first Saturday Night Live person to get an Oscar nomination?
I thought it was it
Garrett Morris.
Garrett's great. Don't make fun of Garrett.
Was it? I do like Garrett. Was
Wait,
it
let
Chevy?
me make a guess.
Jane
Because my
Curtin.
guess is going to be Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
For
Dan
Driving Miss
Aykroyd.
Daisy.
Supporting actress.
Oh, I gotcha.
And Bill Murray, of course. And then, what's her name?
Jane Curtin?
No, she wasn't nominated. Oh, Bridesmaids got nominated for Best Screenplay.
Oh, Melissa McCarthy?
Kristen Wiig.
Kristen Wiig.
Kristen Wiig, who I think is extraordinary.
I love her.
Actress.
She's very good. I loved her in Ghostbusters, the new
So
one.
many things, more than just that.
I love it. And this is kind of fun. So in 1978, when Belushi, for those of you who don't know who John Belushi is, we of course all do, but he started off in Saturday Night Live in 1975, and the very first movie he appeared in was Going South, which was directed by Jack Nicholson.
And Mary Steenburgen, that was her first movie.
And it was here in that movie that John Landis, the director, decided to cast him in another movie, National Lampoon's Animal House. Now, he was already doing Lampoon whenever he was doing the stage show. So it's just kind of neat how people see you doing something else. Obviously, that's how work begets work. But that's when Landis saw him. And, of course, that was Kismet because they did a ton of stuff together. And then with Dan Aykroyd, he was on SNL. And they both quit the series to pursue movie careers, which I think was only after one season for John.
They did 3 or 4.
3 or 4 seasons. I must be thinking of Chevy.
Chevy left her the first year and then didn't do anything until he left after 75, and then he did Foul Play with Goldie Hawn. And it was just so weird that he left. People told him to do it, and it was just really weird.
It was a little too soon, but
I
it was
thought
great
so.
because it gave Bill Murray a chance, who I love.
Vegas Vacation. I work with him.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
How was he back then? Was he crazy yet?
I was on the set. I had a very small part
Mhm.
of this kitchen worker. I had these funny lines, and I was a buffet guy. And Randy Quaid was in the movie, and I worked with Randy Quaid, who was just so sweet and so nice.
Aw.
And Chevy didn't even say hello to me, and we started rehearsing. And it was at the Sands Hotel right before it got torn down. And he walks in, and we did the scene, and he goes, "Oh, so you're going to be funny in this?"
Oh,
and then I started.
jeez.
So, and then the director comes over to me, Jeff Pollock. He says, "Oh, he says, look, Chevy's he likes to kid around." I said,
Oh,
"Look,
okay.
I'm gay and I'm a nightclub comedian. There's nothing you can say to me. I'm also a Jew."
You've got it covered.
So the whole
if
day,
you were a woman, then yeah.
Yeah, so it's so funny because I spent the whole time on the set just talking to him in an English accent. I said, "Chevy, great to see you," because I thought he just loved it. He was very sweet.
That's so funny. Yeah, because I hear he gets a little more persnickety as he gets older to work with.
Well, this was in the 90s.
Yeah, so he was still probably okay before.
I don't know. But
before whatever that
Community?
TV show,
Yeah,
Community.
where he apparently melted down.
Ah. Now this is kind of neat. I love Spies Like Us. I don't know if you guys loved it.
I can't remember it.
It turns out that now John Belushi was going to be Dan Aykroyd's co-star in that, but then it eventually went to Chevy Chase. I would have liked to have seen it with John. I thought that would have been interesting.
Is it because John died?
I think so. That didn't happen. But originally they were starting out there.
Was he supposed to be a Ghostbuster too? I mean, there's all sorts of projects
that's
John
true.
Belushi could have been in.
But then he became, of course, the impetus for Slimer. So I was saying he could play anywhere from Bluto to Slimer.
That's
like
kind of
that.
a lateral move.
It pretty much is.
They're both
What was
the
his
same.
last
Get it?
film?
He was working on a script entitled Noble Rot.
No, but what did he actually last film?
Well, Continental Divide.
I thought that was
with
it.
Blair Brown. Yeah,
Mhm.
he was trying to get into the romantic comedy. He lost a lot of weight and trying to get.
He's
into
so lovable too. I could see him pulling that off.
He did pull it off. I thought he was very good in it.
I have not
Forgot
seen
who
that.
directed it, but
you should.
Did you know his favorite comedian was Lucille Ball?
I did.
He knew every
Everyone-
detail of her career and life.
Everyone knew that.
God, that sounds so gay.
Stop embarrassing yourself.
Now this is something you guys probably saw, but in the he was scheduled to present the first Best Visual Effects Oscar at the 1982 Academy Awards with Dan Aykroyd, but he died weeks before the ceremony. And Dan said, "My partner would have loved to have been here tonight to present this award since he was a bit of a visual effect himself." That's
His
kinda
dying
nice.
really put an end to a lot of things he was supposed to do.
He was doing some cool stuff, and then that
Well, he was
happened.
He didn't get to do a lot after he died.
He was
No.
he was really hot at
He
the
was
time,
really
and
hot.
it was a time when you were allowed to do a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
Robin Williams stopped doing drugs apparently.
Yeah, it really affected a lot of those
but it
people.
wasn't just him. It was a lot of people in the industry stopped. They said it was like a wake up call because it was the 70s were over. It was 83, but it took
That and the Twilight Zone thing, probably.
Oh my
right,
God!
with Landis.
People stopped, yeah.
I'm making a connection here between these two thoughts, but I love Bill Murray very much, and I love the idea that he just stops in on people. He'll go in, you do your dishes, he'll do karaoke with you.
Had him over the other day.
There you go. Well, I'm starting to get the idea that maybe he got that idea from Belushi because Belushi was known as America's Guest, and that's because he would wander off on location, and they'd find him napping on someone's couch near the place. He'd knock on someone's door and be like, "Hey, I just need to get away for a second. Can I come in?" And they're like, "Yes, John Belushi, come in." And there's a story at Universal on one of the backlot tours that he would just wander off, and then he'd go take a nap, have some beer with a neighbor. Well, I wanted to I just decided to dedicate the entire birthdays to Belushi because I just thought there was so much to say about him. But Bar, you know how much I love when celebrities sing.
This is true. Now that you've been on the show, people are going to stop you on the street. They're probably going to grab you by the collar.
Well, I can't help
and they're
it.
going to say, "Tell me two very interesting things about that Karen Volpe." And the first thing you're going to tell them is
She did Funny Girl.
she did Funny Girl.
That's right.
She is a celebrity.
That's right.
And then you're going to tell them,
Yes.
Karen Volpe loves when celebrities sing.
I was thinking more along the lines of a little John Belushi singing,
He
but
did
not
that.
Blues Brothers music.
What?
Actually, singing from a movie before that called Old Boyfriends, and this is him singing a little Jailhouse Rock.
Nice.
He has a great voice.
It did work.
Yeah.
The bell jumping and the joint began to swing. You should have heard the knocked out jailbird sing. Let's rock.
Well, this could be Elvis, honestly.
It's great, yeah. It's just casual. He's not trying, you know?
Spotty Murphy played his fiddle saxophone.
Well, that wraps another movie showcast, everybody. Together with the movie guys, individually we are
Karen
Paul
Mulvey.
Brevity Bart
Who
guys.
started that movie?
What, Old Boyfriends?
Talia Shire.
Kate Carradine.
Directed by Joan Tewksbury.
Yes.
Is it?
Nice. You
Is
got
it-
it.
that-
Nailed it. You win.
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
Let's see. Follow us on Twitter at The Movie Guys, Facebook.com/The Movie Guys, YouTube, iTunes, Instagram, all that nonsense for daily jokes and links. Thanks to Jason Stewart.
Thank you.
Go see The Birth of a Nation, which has
all on-
rightly and proudly snatched the name from that racist D.W.
Well, if
Griffith
they
film
took it,
from
we
years ago.
took it back.
I loved the posters for the film.
Isn't it great?
With just they spray painted over it. Nat Turner was here. Pretty cool.
It's really, really great movie.
Where else can people follow you? You got social and all that?
I will be next seen on Love, the Judd Apatow show on
yes.
Netflix.
With friend of the show, Chris Witowski.
Oh,
He's been
wonderful. And I will be, I've got a couple more films coming out. If you want to come see me live, just go to jasonstewart.com, S-T-U-A-R-T, Stuart.
Stuart.
And you can see all the
Stuart!
appearances, and you can also, all my social media is on the top.
Cool.
And thanks to Steve Scholes for his writing contributions to the show every week. And, of course, we owe everything to
Pat Peach.
Remember, you can always find us at themovieguys.net. Next week, the releases calm down a little, and we get 2.
Oh, good.
Rings and The Space Between Us. We'll see you then.
Best rehearsal ever, Jason.